Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles, where for today's viewing entertainment, I'm not quite sure how you pronounce this, Bemse? Let's call him Bemse. Bemse's going to be having a very, very stressful day in this Tier 8 domination battle in the USS Massachusetts here on the Haven map. It's not that there's anything particularly wrong with the matchmaking. I mean, it's not bad. Sure, there's a carrier, but there's only one. Nobody's managed to sneak any hybrids in for an extra carrier in play. And the destroyer threat isn't that bad. There's only 2 destroyers per team. About those destroyers, though. Today's battle features some very questionable decision-making on behalf of a couple of the destroyer players. Unfortunately, one of them is on Bemse's team. The destroyer player in question, the Akatsuki up there, to be completely fair, they do have to go AFK at one point due to matters outside of their control. Unfortunately, they're not an awful lot used to the team alive, even when they're present at the keyboard. You'll see what I mean before very long. So, Tier 8 battle, the USS Massachusetts. Tier 8 battleship. A very, very popular ship, and for very good reasons. Generally, the Massachusetts is fairly standard as far as Tier 8 battleships are concerned. It's armed with 9 16-inch rifles, which are okay. I mean, they get the super heavyweight American armor-piercing shells, but the accuracy, I mean, it's not bad, but it's not great either. She's reasonably fast. I mean, she probably doesn't fall into the category of fast battleship, but she's definitely not slow. Her armor is fine. She's basically covered in 32mm, fairly standard Tier 8 plus battleship plating. She does kind of have an exposed citadel, so she's going to have to angle against incoming large caliber armor piercing, but I mean, that's basically true of everybody. But what sets the Massachusetts apart is, well, you could argue that the German battleships got there first, but you could also argue that the Massachusetts is the ship that made secondary builds popular. Sure, secondary build is very popular and pretty effective on something like the Bismarck, but you have to grind to get the Bismarck. The Massachusetts is a premium. Any old idiot can whip out their credit card and get themselves a Massachusetts. Hello, Saipan. Oh, carrier. He's probably navigating in autopilot mode and isn't even aware that Bemse was there. It's fine. No harm done. Bemse's gotten the secondary range on the Massachusetts up to 11.3 kilometers, which I think is the maximum possible. And that's pretty good. And these secondaries, and the Massachusetts has a lot of them, are very accurate and very rapid firing. As the enemy Kagger over there is about to find out. That poor bugger just got himself spotted in front of a Chapayev, a Rochester, and a Massachusetts. He's smoking up. He's gotten some torpedoes away. But he's not going to stay unspotted. To be fair, I think it's the Akatsuki that does actually reacquire him, and is smart enough to know that you can use your guns. Unfortunately, while the Chapayev in Bemse's division does claim the kill on the Kagero, the friendly Prince Heinrich, 3 minutes in, the team have already lost a battleship. It's here where the Akatsuki's decision-making starts to leave an awful lot to be desired. He's just launched torpedoes at the Kagero, who got taken out by the Chapayev, so his torpedoes are now reloading. And he's going after the West Virginia, who has realised, oh, I'm in a lot of trouble here, time to turn around very, very slowly, because it's a West Virginia, and try to get out of here. The Akatsuki is going to go for the West Virginia. This is a very bad idea for a whole bunch of reasons, which I'm going to explain. First, his torpedoes are on the reload. Secondly, while the West Virginia is a slow battleship, it's probably not doing an awful lot more than 20 knots, and having just executed a turn, it's probably only doing about 15. By the time it does get up to full speed, and it's heading directly away from the Akatsuki, because he's not stupid, that is basically going to take 20 knots off the effective speed of the Akatsuki's torpedoes when they do reload, and the team have just lost a York. Plus, while the Akatsuki can stealth torpedo, the West Virginia is heading away, which means that even if it's only doing 20 knots, if it's going to take the torpedoes a minute to get there, the West Virginia will have pulled away by 2 or 3 kilometers, which means you have to get 2 or 3 kilometers closer in order to actually launch the torpedoes. And remember that while the Akatsuki is chasing the West Virginia, It's too slow to run away, it's too big to go undetected, and it's getting bombed and shot at by a Kansas, a Chapayev, and a Rochester. It's probably going to be dead before the Akatsuki can even launch its torpedoes. It would have been far better for everyone concerned, including the Akatsuki, and there we go, the Kansas has, in fact, nailed the West Virginia, if he'd instead headed over here for the open cap circle at Charlie, which is what Bemse is being forced to do, since nobody else is doing it. Unfortunately, there's no... Oh, that was kind of brutal from the enemy Lexington. Took up a huge chunk of health and set a double fire. There's no way Bemse is actually going to be allowed to take this cap, though. I mean, he's in a battleship. He's fairly visible. He's an easy target to hit. He's just going to be constantly reset. A couple of shots out there against the Zeton. The Akatsuki, however, absolutely could have taken this cap circle. Oh, and the team's just lost in Edinburgh. Oh, and to make matters worse, there is an enemy destroyer, the Shiratsuyu, over there, inside the only cap circle that Bemse's team actually have possession of. And Bemse's team have just lost their renown, so they're down to 186 points. They have no caps, they have no points coming in. Here comes the Lexington again. Torpedo bombers this time. The enemy Shiratsuyu has smoked up because he got spotted. But he's about to start making some very questionable decisions of his own. He's going to take... Well, actually, I think Bemse might take, yep, 2 torpedoes from the Lexington. There's another double fire. This is not a good situation. The Shiratsuyu, however, in that smoke screen over there, who is about 4 kilometers away from the friendly Saipan, is instead, I think he's torpedoing the Bismarck all the way over there. The Bismarck just popped his hydro, but he's too far away to be detecting the Shiratsuyu inside its smoke. I mean, I don't know whether or not the Shiratsuyu realises there's a Kagero closing in on him. Maybe he does, maybe that's why he's not sticking around inside the smoke screen, but he could have easily torpedoed and sunk. I mean, he's shooting at the Saipan now, rather than using the torpedoes on him. Yeah. Not quite sure what the thought process was there, but there's no way he's escaping that. He's inside the secondary range of a Bismarck and a Massachusetts. Oof, Bismarck gets him, with a detonation no less. And it's here where some very unwelcome enemy ships appear around the corner. Now, yes, Bemse is given flat broadside to them. Now, he was kind of forced into that situation while trying to dodge the Lexington's torpedoes. But he's doing his best to extricate himself from it now. And, well, as long as the Bismarck's on less than 10,000 health, he probably doesn't have to worry about anything other than the Atlantic Coast secondaries. He's managed to get himself off the island. He's now angling. Secondaries focused on the Atlantic Coast. And the Atlantic Coast secondaries are no joke either, by the way. But it's, I think, at about this point where the Atlantico, as he turns to attempt to disengage, realises that the Bismarck is not the biggest threat. Bemse is. Bemse's angled up against his guns, though, and the secondaries are continuing to work him over. He's thinking about shooting the Atlantico when the guns reload, but I think he's just realised that the secondaries are about to finish the job for him, so he switches his fire to the Zeton, and that is a very big, fat, juicy broadside, isn't it? Shots out. There's the Close Quarters Expert Award. Atlantico down, his first kill of the match. And he lands a decent hit on the Zeton. I mean, there are no citadels, but 11,000 damage. The Zeton also takes at least 1 torpedo from the Kagero. Looks like the Zeton's shooting at the carrier as well. Now, the Zeton has a very big problem here, because he wasn't able to pull a tight enough turn to get that island between himself and Bemse. So Bemse gets to shoot again, and yes, he has run into an island, but yeah, decent hits. Actually, yeah, not bad at all. 10,000. Not quite sure what prompted the Zeton's sudden manoeuvre there. I don't think it was the torpedoes dropped by the Saipan, because he basically turned the wrong way to avoid those. Possibly he's trying to angle up against the next 16-inch armour-piercing salvo from Bemse, but if he's trying to do that, he's doing that the wrong way too. Nice big fat broadside there for Bemse to shoot at. However, he's once again letting the secondaries do the work and switching the main gun batteries to the Baltimore. Another good decision, because the Zeton is done. There it goes. That was the fire actually set by the secondaries. which means the Baltimore is about to have some serious... Oh, there's a Rook coming around the corner. Ugh. Okay, secondaries on the Baltimore. Nice big fat juicy battlecruiser broadside to shoot at. Bemse, you're going to have to think about getting out of here because a Lazzo has just joined the fight as well. The secondaries are continuing to work over the Baltimore. You do need to stay angled against the Rook. That thing has some seriously dangerous guns. Okay, the Saipan's gone down, which means there's nothing left over here for these guys to shoot at but you. Broadside cruiser though, 16-inch super heavy armor piercing, shots out. Oh great, the Lexington's back. But I think, yep, he's dodged those torpedoes. There's another close quarters expert. Baltimore's down, big citadel on the Lazzo, but no kill, and well, now they're all shooting at him. Bemse has definitely outstayed his welcome. He's taken fire from a Belfast, a Lazzo, a Rook. I think there's an Attigo shooting at him from the other side of the map as well. Fortunately, they're all missing and angling up against the Rook as it came around the corner. Meant he was in the perfect position to pull off a hasty exit and get behind this island over here. And not before time, because he's down to 7,000 hit points and he's got no heals left. So, this is pretty much it. As he unloads another 16-inch armor piercing salvo, this time with the benefit of some cover against the Lazzo. Ah, that was disappointing. Can I just take this moment to point out where the friendly Akatsuki is, and has been, for the last 5 minutes? He hasn't moved that far from where he was when he was chasing after the West Virginia. Now in his defense, it's not his fault. He has just come back to the keyboard, has started moving again, and did explain in chat that a hailstorm broke out and his roof started leaking, so he had to go and attend to that. I mean, you know, that's fine. Things happen outside of your control that are more important than in game. It doesn't change the fact, however, that he has basically been no use to the team alive for the vast majority of the game so far. And while he is now back at the keyboard, instead of doing something useful like assisting the Rochester and taking the cap at Alpha, which he's right next to, he is instead coming down south to arrive way too late to make any difference in this fight. Ooh, another Citadel. There goes the Lazzo. That's kill number 4. 145,000 damage done. This is not bad at all. He's still got the 7,300 health that he had when he ducked into cover behind this island in the first place, and now it's the Belfast's turn. Broadside light cruisers, crunchy on the outside, chewy on the inside. Oh, not a kill though. Kagero, come on. He's crippled his engine. He's basically sitting there. Come on, Kagero, your guns work. You're spotted anyway. You may as well. There he goes. Good man, that Kagero. And, yep, Kagero took out the Belfast. Now then, broadside Rook. A battle cruiser. Not a light cruiser, but still very crunchy on the outside and equally chewy on the inside. Rear turrets were occluded by the island, unfortunately, so just the 6 shots. Oh, another decent hit. Also, not a kill. The Kagero still knows how to use his guns, though. Secondaries, come on secondaries. There's the, yep, another close quarters expert award, kill number 5. Kraken unleashed. 2 enemies left, the Lexington and the Yumahari, and some more questionable decision making from the Akatsuki, who is now flipping the cap, or re-flipping the cap, because the team started with it, at Delta. He could have already taken the cap at either Alpha or Bravo, which were closer to him when he finally came back to the keyboard, but he's going to flip this cap circle, the one that the Kagero was about to anyway. I know I often get called out for being overly critical, like, yeah, Jingles, you put yourself in their position and see if you would have been able to make the correct decisions under the pressure that they were under and do any better, and you know, that's a fair criticism. I will put my hand up and accept that, but at the same time, I think that it benefits everybody if, rather than just saying, haha, look at that dumbass doing dumbass things, I actually explain why they're not good decisions, because then everybody can benefit from somebody else's lack of experience. Plus, we also get to point fingers at people and saying, haha, look at that dumbass doing dumbass things. Plus, there's a reasonable chance the Akatsuki player could be watching this video. And, oh, the Rochester's gone down. It's those dive bombers from the Lexington again, the ones that shaved off a third of Bemse's health and set a double fire. Looks like they just did the same thing to the Rochester, although the Rochester was at least able to score a flesh wound award. Finished off the Yumahari with fires that it had set. But yeah, there's a reasonable chance that the Akatsuki player could be watching this video. And if that's the case, please don't take this personally. I mean, sure, we're having a laugh at your expense, but you can learn from it, because I took the trouble to actually explain why the decisions that you made were not good decisions. So maybe in future you can avoid making the same kind of mistakes. Nothing you can do about suddenly being caught in a hailstorm, of course, and having to take measures to protect your home. I mean, you know, that's 100% fine, obviously. This is, at the end of the day, just a game. But when you're not AFK, there are decisions that you made that could have been better. And hopefully, if you are watching this video, you'll understand why. And if you're not, everybody else watching this video will hopefully understand why. So where's that Lexington? Well, its last reported position was all the way up to the northwest by Alpha, but nobody's fallen for that for a second. You can see his dive bombers up there, harassing the Akatsuki. He's having a stab at flipping the cap at Bravo, but has been forced out of it after getting spotted and dive bombed, although it looks like they've managed to dodge the bombs. But yes, those dive bombers came from and are returning to the bottom southwestern corner of the map, which is exactly where Bemse is heading to. Even without the benefit of the radio location skill, just pay attention to what's going on around you and you can get a fairly good idea of where the last surviving enemy ship is. A couple of minutes later, with 3 caps and a 200-point lead, yeah, there he is. If he was any further into the southwestern end of the Haven map, he'd be on the ocean map. There is, of course, no way that the Lexington is going to be able to clutch this on his own. Oh, and there goes the Kansas. Wow, the Kansas... Is the Kansas allowed to get a kill? I thought it was against the rules for that line of American battleships to be able to sink anything until you got to the Vermont at tier 10. But hey, anyway, there you go. 180,000 damage done. That was a 3,000 base experience battle for Bemse in the Massachusetts. You know what, to be fair to the Akatsuki, that wasn't a terrible result for them either, with 1,400 base XP, so they didn't do that badly. Just a little bit more attention to detail. You'd be able to do an awful lot better. Anyway, well done to all involved, particularly Bemse. I mean, the Massachusetts is a very, very good ship, but 3,000 base XP is particularly good no matter what ship you're playing. And I hope you all enjoyed watching him get battered for your enjoyment, because that's it for today. Hope you're all having a great day. And as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.